instead of repeating. So Dave, you're next if you'd like. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
I'm not going to put my flip chart up because I'm trying to pull the ideas together in a kind of group. So I had a lot of very energetic thoughts out there. I think being outside was very productive. You can see the trees and that inspired some good thinking. So we started at the bottom of we started with the last question and kind of worked our way up to the top. So starting with tree permits, there was pretty broad support across the different folks in our group. Everybody was interested in the idea of tree removal permits. General consensus is that the current allowance for removing 3 trees a year doesn't really do a great job of protecting the canopy long term, and that we need something that's more focused on individual trees. Some of the ideas that came up along with that are the possibility of requiring replanting wherever possible as a condition of tree removal. So if there's somewhere that a tree isn't appropriate or is causing problems for one reason or another, that we allow them to take that out as a condition of the permit that we find somewhere else that we recommend replanting or require replanting. And then in cases where that's not a possibility, payment into a fund that would support tree planting on other private properties would be a viable program. Also, as part of that tree removal permit, there was interest in some kind of required online education course that might just be a little 10-minute presentation on some of the benefits of trees, both to the property owner and societal benefits and broader benefits. Also, there was interest in posting more advanced notification before tree removal, especially for big projects. The thought is that by the time DPD gets a proposed land use action notice up, usually the applicant is far enough along in the permitting process, they're going to be very resistant to any kinds of changes. And so if there could be some kind of